Hey guys, we are here. We are live on YouTube talking movies, of course, without further ado, because that's what this channel is all about. I just want to say a big thank you to everyone who's joining in on this live stream. If you guys are catching this later on the replay, make sure again to hit that like and subscribe button if you guys are new here, or in general, just make sure to hit that like button because it does help me out over on this channel all the time. And of course, a big just thank you to you guys for joining me. The 2019 was a fantastic year. This really grew out my channel. And I want to show off the shirt that I got for Christmas because it's Kylo Ren as like Kiss, and it's just badass as all hell. Maybe I can get the seat up a bit more. All right, so I got this new chair too. It's very more comfy than my last one, so I'll be actually able. I have my water right next to me, right down here, and yeah, we're gonna be talking about 153 movies that I saw in 2019. I'm gonna be ranking it from worst to best. Now, this is really much. I want to say thank you to Sean Chandler because he came up with this idea and has done it the last 2 years. I've been very disorganized the last 2 years when I really started YouTube, and this was the first year that I started getting a little bit more organized in that whole manner. So I wanted to get. I planned this from January that I wanted to do this, and I'm happy to be here. Now, this is a 153 new movies that I saw in 2019. It's not like other movies. I think overall I'd seen almost 300 movies all together, old, new, but this is 153 movies. It's definitely going to be fun doing this overall, and I'm very much excited to be diving in and doing this with you guys. And I see that there are 19 of you guys in here so far. Again, make sure to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as well if you're new here, and comment down below and let me know what your guys' thoughts are as well. This is going to be a fun list, and I'm so excited to be doing this with you. So we're going to start it in just a here. We got Carlo, Damien, Tatermeister, Hector Gonzalez, Olivia Daly, Lush Tuber, awesome. And just so you guys also know, as we are continuing going about this in this whole manner, what I will also be doing is talking and discussing in general. I'll be going to the live chat and reading some of your guys' comments and your guys' thoughts on what you guys think of my list. And in general, what do you guys think of this whole entire YouTube type thing? So I'll be reading some of your comments. If you have any questions, I'll be answering those as well every couple of movies I talk about. But I'm rambling on too much. You guys came here to hear my list, so I should dive in and do this. So let's get to it. Let's start at my number 153. Thank you guys again so much for joining. And if for some reason you guys are here, then hell. I see Aaron Ograd keeps asking, why won't I do a worst list? Now I'll answer that real fast. Why won't I do a worst list? I don't want to celebrate the worst movies of 2020. This is kind of going to be my best way of talking about the worst list. I'm ranking every movie I saw, so if you want to know my worst top 10 worst list, it's going to be right here. It's going to be the bottom ones that I talk about. And then I also saw Logan. Good afternoon, Zach. I just got home from the Army last weekend. I got 4 weeks left of basics when I get back Friday. You think 38 is Joker? Awesome. That's congrats on the graduate, the whole Army basics. That's fantastic. Congrats to you. And I don't think so. I mean, if you want to start, I mean, look at Ava DuVernay. I think she started making film stuff at like 40 something. It's never too young. You put your mind to what you want, and that's what you're going to do. So, guys, but let's first off, I'll get to some of the other questions in here a little bit later. So I'm going to start at my number 153 right now, and that is Swiped. Now, if you guys want to if you want to pull up another window while you're watching this, if you're not watching it on your phone or TV, I do have a Letterboxd account. It's in the description below. I have a list on there where I'm going through and talking about each of my movies. That's kind of where I'm going off of. My 153, though, is Swiped. I think Swiped is... I don't want to crap too much on this movie. It's a new Netflix movie that came out this year. It has Noah Sorrento, who I'm not a major fan of at all. The fact that he's going to be He-Man is absolutely kind of baffling to me. But for me, Swiped just... took me 3 nights to get through. It's quite boring. There's nothing really much to it. And I sat there just going, damn, I really do not like this movie. It's supposed to be a comedy. I didn't really laugh too much. I think the characters are unlikable. And in a sense, the whole premise of the movie is just kind of lacking. Coming in at 152, though, is fucking Cats. Yeah, Cats is at my number 152. Oh, God. Oh, man. Not a good movie. Not a good movie. And I do see someone says, is there a problem with your Wi-Fi because the screen of my phone is pixelated? Yeah, it's probably my Wi-Fi. I don't know why it's deciding to act up on my one day of doing a live stream. It's just fantastic, you know. I just love that it's all doing that. But Swiped is going to be my worst. 152, though, is Cats. I thought Cats was absolutely garbage. I thought it was terrible. I sat there screaming at the screen, wanting it to end, and I just overall just I wanted to walk out. I personally wanted to walk out. I was very nice in my review about this movie. I did give it some positives. I don't think there's any really bad movie out there. I think there are bad movies out there, but there are always going to be good things to it. And for me, Cats did not have any of that good nature to it at all, and it overall just became it became a pretty bad movie overall, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do that movie at all, and the cinematography's fine, the singing's good, just not good, not good, not good. Coming in at my 151 is going to be the Banana Splits movie. Now, this movie wasn't too bad. I didn't think it was. It was fine. I was looking forward to it, though. Friday Night Freddy type version of the movie, and it really didn't work overall at all. In fact, it was quite honestly terrible. The kills were cool. It was more bloody than I thought it would be, but just the concept of this movie failed on all aspects. And the way I kind of rank these is what would I rather rewatch compared to the other ones. And I think for people who don't know, this is like a sci-fi type movie, a movie that just didn't work out overall. And honestly, quite in the end of the day, really was totally garbage. But the theme song in it is pretty catchy. It's tra la 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 la. Look it up if you wanna look up how bad the movie is. Coming in at my 150 is going to be Hellboy, one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and it's completely garbage. I was so excited for this. David Harbour's Hellboy is one of my favorite castings. You got Neil Marshall directing this, and it just overall came out to be a big pile of crap. That is the honest truth. I didn't think this movie was good whatsoever. I found the movie to be completely lacking in every single piece of the department. I sat there just really much not liking the movie at all. And when you're watching the movie overall, you know, there are some fun action sequences to it. I do think David Harbour is really good in the role of Hellboy, but the material of the movie was complete garbage. And it just, in the sense of it, just really trampled the movie and completely made it not great. Like, I just can't believe that, like, you have all this fantastic cast on it and just nothing at all wanted to work for this movie. And in the end of the day, it just makes it pretty bad. Coming in my number 149 is going to be Miss Bala. Now, I love Gina Rodriguez. I think she's a fantastic actress, but this movie just really came down to a very cliche movie that truly just fell in its utter every department. Like, there really is no sense of the way of something that's great or good. It just ends up being complete garbage. And Miss Bala, was it complete garbage? Yeah. Was Gina Rodriguez good in it? Yeah, but she can't make garbage hot. That's the truth. Coming in my 148 is Harriet. I thought this was the most boring, watered-down version of a biopic that I have ever seen. I love Cynthia Erivo. I think she is good in it, but I think really barely her performance can hold up this film at all. The more I kept seeing and thinking on this movie, the more I just sat there going, man, this is not good. And I think the score is fine. I think she's a great singer. She has a little song in here. Again, she is great as Harriet, but the movie is terrible in all execution. It's kind of one of those movies you would watch if you went to go and see, say, I'm trying to think. Say you were in a history class. This would be the movie your teacher would put on. Coming in my 147 is going to be Murder Mystery. Now, I was actually quite excited about this one. You got Adam Sandler, Jennifer Aniston teaming back together for a Netflix movie, given most of his Netflix movies have been complete garbage, and Murder Mystery was complete garbage. I like Luke Evans. He wasn't good in this either, though. It just really was terrible, and I'm very happy that one of Adam Sandler's other movies is way much higher on this list. Coming at my 146 will be Red Joan. Now, a lot of you guys probably haven't heard of this movie. I barely did. It was fine. It was fine. That's the truth. It was a fine movie. That's all I can say more about it. The performances are decent, and it's just not one of those ones that I would ever jump right back into. Coming in at my 145 is going to be The Chaperone. Now, I actually didn't mind this one. This one had some good cinematography, some good production design. I just didn't find myself really much in the camp of wanting to care about this one whatsoever. And it comes down to not wanting to ever see it. The performances are fine, but just really not that good. 144 is going to be Greta. Now, Greta is you can get some fun and enjoyable moments out of it. I think the performances are good. I thought it was so cheesy, and it didn't feel like they knew what tone they wanted to go with. Do we want to be serious? Do we want to be terribly serious? They just didn't know what they want to do with it, and I think that's where Greta kind of ends up being. Coming up on 143 is going to be Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I was so disappointed in this movie that I felt like while the scares really weren't there, a lot of the monsters were cool to look at. A lot of it did bring back that nostalgia. I felt like the characters were terrible. And while they were trying to do what they did with Ghostbusters, not Ghostbusters, Goosebumps, I thought it didn't work at all inside Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. And really, in the end of the day, it just made me sit there going, it's pretty bad. Coming in my 142 is another disappointing film on my list, which was on my disappointing movie list, was Annabelle Comes Home. I was so excited for this because after Annabelle Creation, I said, you can actually make spin-offs great, but Annabelle Comes Home is not. There are some cool demon designs in there. I can't go along with that. There are some sweet moments with the daughter in here. I can say that for sure. But when it comes down to Annabelle Comes Home, the worst part about this movie overall is completely the story and the way that they do most of the scares in here. It's run from one room, get scared, run to the next room, get scared, run to this room, get scared. And it's just overly long in those departments. And just in the end of the day, made me feel pretty sick to my stomach. Now, guys, I'm going to jump into the live chat, kind of see what you guys are saying. Again, I'm very sorry for this pixelated look on my live stream. I have zero idea why it's doing that. My internet says I have all three things. It's all hooked in. I don't know why it's doing it. It's kind of stressing me out. I'm already going along for 11 minutes, so I just got to do the video, you know. It does really, really very much frustrate me that it's doing it. But thank you guys for joining again. I see there are 28 of you guys, and I really do appreciate that for you guys joining in. I'm going to kind of jump in and join. And if you guys are joining in midway through, do understand I will be answering questions throughout this as well as kind of a live Q&A, and I want to give you guys that at least. So Ern Argred asks, why won't you do a worst list? So I don't do a worst list for the number one reason being, well, I already answered that. I don't want to crap on movies. Hector Gonzalez, what's your thoughts on political thrillers? I think they can be good. You can get them done. Hey guys, if you say Joker Endgame is your favorite or automatically list, they might not be on mine. Alex Rivers is in here. I'm doing great, man. How are you? Hector says no. Sorrento seems like a nice guy, but he needs to expand on his roles and takes more risks. I agree. I mean, I've actually heard some stuff about him on set, so I don't really want to say that stuff. No one needs a Dark Knight type of role. I don't agree with that. I don't give him anything. I don't know. I don't really respect him until he respects his audience, I think. The worst movie I've seen this year is Replicas. I didn't get to see that movie. I wanted to, though. Hellboy was such a disappointment. I do agree, Olivia. I do agree. Cynical Dread's in here. Hey, dude, it's all fine. Hell, it wasn't bad. Hellboy, it wasn't bad. It could have been better. It was disappointing. Totally. Miss Ball looked like a bland action movie. It wasn't even an action movie at all. Annabelle Comes Home was very forgettable. Totally disagree. Us is the most overrated movie of the year. Totally disagree, but I can see what you mean by that. Favorite movie of 2019 are Joker. All right, how often do you work out, Zach? I try to work out 3 to 4 times a week. I have not gone though in the last week or two because I've been doing a lot of movie content, and it's retail. I work in retail, so I work a lot during this time of year. But so let's going into 141 will be Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. This is one of the movies I took a fat nap through, and I woke up for a majority of it, but I just kept dozing off. I found it completely uninteresting and boring. The action sequences are cool. The cinematography is nice, and some of the CGI is actually really cool. And Angelina Jolie in this role is great, and Elle Fanning is also good. I just didn't care at all again for this character. And I just don't understand why they would ever want to make this movie. I just don't get how it got a sequel. I know the first one made a bunch of money, but it was like too long, too short type of stuff. Moving into 140 will be Where'd You Go, Bernadette. Now, this movie I was not really looking forward to, but it does have Richard Linklater directing it. And this movie falls flat because of its lack of story. It feels like 2 different stories in one, and they didn't know which one it wanted to really much focus on. And I also do see in the live chat, you could, Rokas asked, you can make a subjective list of your most enjoyable movies of the year or the decade. So that's the thing. I actually do have a decade list coming out tomorrow. I think at 4 p.m. or 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So do look forward to that if you guys are looking into that. 139 is going to be Hustle. Now, I put 139. This one could have been lower, but I like Anne Hathaway. So if I'm going to rewatch any of these movies, I would rather rewatch this because of Anne Hathaway. 138 is going to be The Goldfinch. what else more is there to say about the Goldfinch? It was a golden piece of crap. Beautiful cinematography. I mean, absolutely stunning cinematography in there by Roger Deakins. All the Las Vegas stuff in the story was fantastic. I just didn't understand anything that was going inside of it. Coming in at my 137 is going to be Men in Black International. This is one of the most disappointing movies of the year because, my God, how do you mess this up with this cast? There is some good chemistry in there, of course, with Tessa and Chris. Pawnee is the big star of the whole movie. The action is fine and all that stuff. But in the end of the day, when I will go back and say this movie was a giant piece of crap, but I would rather rewatch it over the other crap. I do see Tatermeister just threw in a super chat. Thank you so much, Tater. Zach, you just joined the 2020 MTS Awards with us. I am joining it from what I understand. I got a message on Twitter said I would do it as long as I got the date and when I can do it. I also see Ryan O'Toole's in here. Thank you so much, Ryan, for joining in. And again, guys, I'm so frustrated by this internet thing. I'm so pissed. It's never done this during a live stream before. And I'm just like, why are we doing this now? Coming in at my 136 is going to be Arctic. Now, I was actually quite excited for Arctic because of Mads Mikkelsen and hearing that the guy who does like all these guitar riffs on YouTube is directing this. Now, I didn't mind this movie. I just thought it was kind of bland. Mads Mikkelsen is fantastic in the movie, though, and he gives an excellent performance. Again, I just didn't really care to ever rewatch this one. Coming in my 135 is going to be Velvet Buzzsaw, another disappointing movie of the year. When I first saw it, I did like it. But as the more time passed on, the more I kind of disliked this movie. Jake Gyllenhaal's fun as this eccentric, and really all the cast is fun in this movie. I just felt like Dan Gilroy had this excellent idea, and he just didn't hit the nail with what it is. It kind of tries to play a riff on horror, but it doesn't do it in the right manner, and it wasn't really that all too funny. I just felt like it was very much lacking. Going into my 134 will be Secret Life of Pets 2. I didn't mind this movie at all. I thought it was cute. It's just as an animated movie, I thought the story structure of this one was god-awful, and it could have honestly been just shorts in front of the next Minions or Despicable Me movie, and you could just throw that one away. Coming in at 133 is going to be Angel Has Fallen. Now, there is some fun action set pieces in this one, definitely. I think you can definitely say that. I think that's something that the Has Fallen trilogy has done so well, has been able to show us and have some fun action. But again, I don't care for this franchise at all besides the first one. And Angel Has Fallen is, again, one of those ones, it just feels very generic. Again, there's some fun moments to it, just nothing much. Coming out 132 is Adopt a Highway. This is actually directed by Logan Marshall Green and stars Ethan Hawke. I got to see this at South by Southwest, and I like this movie for the most part. I just thought it feels like, again, there's two different stories in it, and I don't want to get into the details of it, but there's one story in the beginning that deals with a baby, and the next half of the story deals with something in his life, and they don't feel like they coincide together, and it feels like there's something mixing in the middle, and for like an half movie, this felt like 2 hours. Coming to my 131 is going to be Noelle, the Disney Plus Christmas movie with Bill Hader and Anna Kendrick. It was a sweet little Christmas movie. There's nothing more to say about it. I got some laughs. I smiled throughout it. I didn't necessarily hate it at all, but I definitely didn't love it at all either. So that's kind of where Noelle goes. 130 is going to be High Flying Bird. This is actually a pretty underrated one when it comes down to this list. I think Steven Soderbergh is a very good director. The thing with this one, though, is while it does dive into really cool antics and there are some great performances in it, I didn't care too much about this one. I think it's underrated in its department that not enough people were talking about another Soderbergh film coming out, but it's also not really memorable at all. Coming in at 129 is going to be Pet Sematary. What a fucking disappointment this one was. I think the back half of this film is so good, and the first two acts are terrible. It's quite amazing how boring this movie is until the third act. And it's not even like it's interesting at all. I just sat in the theater groaning, being like, oh, come on, just go with the story. I don't even like the original one too much. I've been wanting to check out the book, but we will see further in there. Now, jumping back into the live chat. Looks like we got Brian's in here. I just saw Jojo Rabbit 2 days ago, and it was great. One of my favorite movies of the year. Absolutely great. Men in Black was okay, just mad. Totally agree. I saw the trailer for Goldfinch when I went to go see Dark Phoenix, and it looked boring. It was. Most boring movie of the year was The Highwayman. I actually skipped out on that one at South by. I almost went and saw that one, and I'm glad I didn't. I enjoyed Secret Life of Pets 2. It had Harrison Ford playing an old dog. I agree. He was good in there. Is the new Jumanji movie any good? I guess you'll see on this ranking list. I also have a review for it if you want to check that out. Am I the only one who likes Pet Sematary? You might be. Coming at my 128 though is going to be Extremely Wicked, the Ted Bundy Netflix movie with Zac Efron. Now I think he is so good in here. My issue with the movie is the way that they story structured and put the focus. It said the focus is supposed to be on the girlfriend. It's honestly not. It's in fact more on the court trials with Ted Bundy, and I thought that was some of the most boring stuff of the movie. Coming at 127 is going to be the Warrior Queen of Jahanzi. Now, this film was actually pretty brutal. I was not expecting that. A lot of the cinematography and the action set pieces are actually quite great, but when it comes down to a story structure, it does feel kind of like a Lifetime movie. Coming out 126 is going to be 5B. What a good documentary this one was. Now, it just hasn't stuck in the back of my mind all too much. I still do think there is some good elements to it, and it really is an impactful movie when it comes about dissecting some of the stuff with AIDS. But in general, I found the movie kind of lacking in some of those departments. Coming up at 125 is going to be The Perfection. Now, I heard a lot of people talking about The Perfection, saying how wild and crazy it is, and then I watched it, and I'm like, yeah, it's wild and crazy. I don't know if I completely enjoy it all the time, but it's wild and crazy for sure. I liked it for the most part, but it wasn't one that I felt like I wanted to run back and watch right away. Jumping into 124 is going to be The Olympic Dreams. Now, this movie has not come out yet. I saw it at South by Southwest. Stars Nick Kroll, and it's about a dentist who gets the dream job being a dentist for the whole Olympics. Now, I like this movie, but at the same time, it felt much lacking of many different departments. And there's a certain story avenue that they take midway through the movie that will kind of make you go a little uneasy. Not because it's like horrific or dramatic or anything, but I just didn't feel like I believed in it all too much. Coming at 123 is going to be the Downton Abbey movie. Now, for me, I actually don't mind this movie. I absolutely never seen an episode of this show. Now, my grandma will say I took her to the press screen for this one. She'll say it's her favorite movie of the year. I'll personally go as far as say it's a good movie. I liked it. Don't know if I think it's the best thing of the year, but I think it was a fun movie. I think fans of Downton Abbey will enjoy it. Coming out 122 is The Hummingbird Project. Now, this one actually has some fantastic performances in here. A really good story. Tries to be a little bit too much of The Social Network, but in that favor, I think there are some good elements to it. And if you're looking for something like The Social Network for this year, The Hummingbird Project could do it. Coming at my number 121 is going to be Six Underground. Now, what, my God, I didn't even give this a score. I gave it a rating of M for Michael Bay. Because, yeah, Michael Bay made this movie. It feels like a total parody of him. There are some fun little one-liners in here, some good humor as well. Ryan Reynolds is fun in the role. I just can't believe how bad this movie was. Like, my God, I just, it's total Michael Bay. And this is why you don't let someone control a movie that much. Hey, Sundrol Productions, thank you so much for the super chat. Can't savor the whole showdown, but congrats on an awesome year, man. Looking forward to next. Me too, man. It's going to be a great, great year. Very much looking forward to next year. I have a couple big things that I'm planning on doing. And actually, if you're still in the live chat, I will be announcing. I'll be saying what I'm going to do by the end of this video, what I'm going to be doing, but I will be doing an official update, either video or live stream on January 1st, kind of discussing what I'm going to be doing. We'll see how my internet's doing, because if it's this buzzy crap again, I'm going to have to do it normally. Coming in at my number 120 is going to be Skin. Now, I put Skin this low because I think the story structure of all this kind of feels like something we've all seen before, but the thing with it is Jamie Bell is so great in here. Like, this is one of the best performances of the year, and I just love what Jamie Bell is able to do in this movie. Plays a skinhead. Very hard to watch, but at the same time, I can understand. Coming to my number 119 will be Brightburn. Now, I put this down here because I was more disappointed in it. Is it a fun B-rated horror film? Absolutely. Is it kind of messy? Absolutely. I think this, well, bloody and messy. I think the story is where I was disappointed at the most. It feels like I thought this could have been such a cool little one note, where's this going to go, Superman? But they turned into more of a B-rated horror film, and that's fine. I just wanted a little bit more from it. Coming at my number 118 is going to be Escape Room. Now, I enjoyed this movie until the third act. It's kind of like a B-rated movie I can enjoy, but the third act, my God, the whole ending was one of the worst endings I've ever seen for a movie. It was my first movie review of this year, and I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it. I'm kind of looking forward to the sequel next year, but I'm more curious about it than optimistic about it. Coming at 117 is going to be Dumbo the Flying Elephant, the new live-action movie from Disney. It was just boring. I found it to be completely lacking of any emotion or tears, which sucks because the original Dumbo is one of the best Disney animated classics of all time. I just think it tries to be the original Dumbo and then try to be different, but it's too different, and they can alienate fans of the franchise, or not even the franchise, but of Dumbo itself. Coming at 116 is going to be What Men Want. What do men want? Well, you'll have to find out in this movie. This movie wasn't terrible either. It was fine. It was completely fine and dandy. I didn't hate it. I didn't love it. I laughed. And I liked Taraji P. Henson. I think she's a great actress. But I think she ran with this role. But I didn't think it was that great. And coming in at my 115 is going to be the Angry Birds movie 2. Now, I actually thought this movie was a little bit of fun. I think as a video game movie, some people were saying it's the best one. I completely disagree. I think Warcraft and some other movies want to say something, and I'm maybe in the minority on those, but Angry Bird movie 2, it's fun. It's fun in that factor. I just didn't think it was the best. Coming out 114 is going to be the Lion King remake. Yeah, again, it kind of has the same problem as Dumbo. Lacks any sort of emotion you want it to have. And it just was not good at all, guys. My God, it's terrible. Coming to my 113 is going to be the Between Two Ferns, the movie. I actually laughed quite a bit in this movie. I think the credits with the bloopers are some of the best. I think Zach Galifianakis has fun with this. But as a movie structure itself, I think the story is pretty lacking. There are a lot of laughs to be had in here. If you like the Between the Two Ferns YouTube stuff, you're going to like this one. Coming at 112 is going to be The Kitchen. Now, I actually didn't mind The Kitchen. I actually gave it a pretty high review. Sitting back on it, I did think that there were a couple bad elements to it, but I want to see these actresses keep doing roles like this, and that's just the honest truth in that part. It's based off a DC Vertigo comic. I want to pick it up and see the differences of it. Coming at 111 is Brittany Runs a Marathon. Now, I heard a lot of good buzz about this movie. Then I saw it, and I thought it was good. It was good, but I didn't think it was great. And I hated her character so much that I just could not root for her. And when you have a character I can't root for, it can end up killing me off in some parts. Coming up 110 is going to be Volition. This is an independent film I got to see at Phoenix Film Festival out here in Arizona. I liked it, and I'm actually quoted in the trailer. I thought the cinematography, the storytelling, all those different devices are very great in here. And really, when it comes down to it, I do think some of it feels a little too indie-ish, like you can tell the budget, but at the same time, for what they were working with, it is a very nice story that I actually wanted to get to see a second time, because that second time could have even improved and enhanced certain things. But coming up at 109 is going to be Gemini Man. Now, I love Will Smith, and easily he's the best part of this movie. I love some of the visual effects in here. The way that they do some of the young version of him is honestly seamless, except a couple of scenes. And some of the action is quite fun. Ang Lee's a visionary. What can I say? I just wanted to enjoy this movie a little bit more. Coming out 108 is going to be The Dark Phoenix. I did not hate this movie. I thought it was fun. What can I say? I liked elements of it. The train fight scene at the end was superb. But when it comes down to an X-Men movie, this is one of the ones that I don't care about because, yeah, the dialogue is pretty terrible at some parts. I mean, the F word they say in here, I bursted out laughing. I couldn't take serious. But we will say Hans Zimmer, his score is perfect in it. Coming at 107 is going to be Rambo Last Blood. The third act of this is pretty fucking awesome. We can say that. I love Rambo. I can have fun with Rambo movies. It's going to be a little bit lower on my list, but also in the middle where I can enjoy stuff like that. I do like Rambo Last Blood. I think it's a fun movie. Is it great? Absolutely not. Is it the best Rambo movie? Absolutely not. But it's fun in that department. Coming to 106 is going to be Lady and the Tramp. Fun little live action remake. I wasn't expecting to love this one, but it actually brought me some fucking emotion. So in that part, I can take it. Now, before we get to my next 5, let's go through the live chat a little bit. See what you guys are saying. 2019 was the year of Bill Hader. Totally agree with that. Carlo, would you do an Oscar nomination reaction video? Maybe after the Oscars themselves, like compare it to your picks and stuff. So I actually have a couple of things that I will be doing, and that'll kind of go into, I want to bring back the Popecast, which is a podcast I started way early on this channel. Didn't really go through without it, but that's something that one of the things that I do want to announce that I am bringing back to this channel is the Popecast. So we'll be starting in January. Some of the episodes will be live. Some of them will be recorded. I'll be discussing news topics throughout the week and then discussing them and going about it. If it's live, I want to take some of your questions while at the same time I'm doing it. I like doing these live streams a little bit more laid back, relaxed, and having fun in those parts. The Oscar nominations, though, I will be planning on doing a segment of that. I love reacting to them. I did one last year where I did a live stream of me reacting to it. So I'll most likely be doing that again this year as well. Again, as long as my internet doesn't act up, because it's the first time it's acting up. And I'm again, very, very annoyed in that whole department of things. But that'll be one of the things I definitely do look forward to doing in it. I will also be planning on not just doing that, but I'll also be doing a prediction video. I know Griffin's asked me to join his Frontrunners podcast. I've been saying I will do it gladly, very much so. I want to do it. So those are all things that I'm very much looking forward to. And in general, look forward to what is going to be happening in the daily stream. Moving forward into this department, let's go to the next one. 105 will be The Kill Team. This is a little underrated A24 film that has some really good performances in it about this war crime and all these sorts of war stuff. I like the banter with the soldiers in here, and it's a good movie. You should watch it. 104 is Charlie's Angels. I think this movie was actually not bad. There are some not the best stuff in it, but there's some good elements to it. And I thought the cast was in here was fantastic. 103, I might get a little bit of shit for this, but it's The Last Black Man in San Francisco. This movie has not aged well the more that I thought about it. I think the cinematography is some of the best here. I think the score is excellent. And I think the performances are fantastic. It's just not a movie that like struck with me like it was striking with many others, and I wish it did. Coming up on number 102 will be High Life. Now, this is another one of those things. I was really looking forward to this movie. It didn't strike well with me, though. I didn't feel attached to it. I think Robert Pattinson is excellent in it. I think Mia Goth is fantastic as well. The concept and everything in it is really unique. Just didn't grab me at all. Coming at 101 is going to be The Art of Self-Defense. My God, I fucking did not love this movie at all, but I still liked it. I enjoyed it. It felt like it was trying to be so much like Yorgos Lanthimos. But my biggest issue with this movie, why I was entertained, was two things. The pacing was god awful. And it's the most predictable fucking movie I've ever seen in my life. Like, I could tell you exactly what was going to happen from A to B, and I don't like that type of stuff. Coming in at number 100 is going to be Child's Play, the remake. I got some fun out of this one. Is it great? Fuck no. Is it kind of terrible at times? Absolutely. But Mark Hamill's Chucky's voice is fun. There are some fun elements in there. I've never been hugely attached to the Child's Play franchise, but I thought there was enough in here for me to want a sequel, to also want to kind of dive back into the Child's Play franchise. Coming at number 99 is another independent horror film that I got to see at the Phoenix Film Festival, and that is There Inside. This is a really cool one, and I love found footage. It's kind of one of my guilty pleasures when it comes to movies, but the way they made this one was quite creepy and unique, and I know the director was there and talking about how he has other ideas for sequels and prequels, and I kind of want to see those all in favor. Coming in at number 98 is Batman versus the Ninja Turtles. I had to see this. Batman, one of my favorite superheroes, and the Ninja Turtles, one of my favorite IPs. You got me on board. The animation here is cool. There are some fun elements to it, and it's a really fun little story between them both. Now, coming up at number 97 is going to be Yesterday. I think this was a really great concept. Not completely executed perfectly, but I think there's enough in here that there is enough fun to be had as well. It didn't know if it wanted to be a rom-com or kind of focus on this Beatles stuff as much as I wanted to do too, but there are a lot of fun elements to it as well. Diving into my next one will be 96 will be Frozen 2. I didn't particularly love Frozen 2. I thought Frozen was kind of just fine. The animation's superb. The music is great. And I think if you're a fan of the original Frozen, you're going to really like this one. I liked it, but I felt like the story was lacking many different things that I wanted it to do. And I think when it comes down to a full movie in its own tales, I think that's one of the things that Frozen 2 lacked for me. Again, I really liked what they did with Kristoff as well. I think Olaf is a great addition as well to the cast, but it just didn't feel all that great. And coming up at number 95 is going to be Stan and Ollie. This is one of the first movies I also saw this year, and I really liked it. It was great. It's such a smart little biopic, and I think this movie would have been pushed a little bit harder last year. It could have been made for some Oscar nominations, even this year too. I think John C. Reilly is one of the most underrated actors in Hollywood, and if you haven't seen this or The Sister Brothers, those are definitely films. If you want to check out how great of an actor he is, you can check him out there. Coming at number 94, it's an underrated comedy, Stuber. I like this movie. I love Kumail Nanjiani, and his banter with Dave Bautista in here is great. It's predictable. It's kind of dumb at times, but I can like it a lot in that part. I think a lot of it's just hearing their banter is kind of what works for me the most, and their comedy and chemistry just works a lot. I laughed quite a bit throughout this movie, and I enjoyed it. It's a fun little action comedy that, while, yes, is it completely great? No, but I think there are a lot of fun elements to it, and I actually just got it as a gift on Christmas, and I'm excited to rewatch it. Number 93 will be Teen Spirit. Now, I'm a major fan of Elle Fanning, and I think she blows it away in here. Her voice, the music in here is great. It's kind of like their own version of America's Got Talent in here. There's a lot of great like father-daughter elements in here as well. I really fell for this movie as it went on and furtherly went down the road, but when it came down to the ending of this movie, I teared up. There's a nice little thing at the end. Coming in at number 92 is going to be Last Christmas. I was surprised by this one. Wasn't really excited about this one. Came out of it really having a big smile on my face. Got me into the Christmas mood. And yeah, I like the twist in it. I thought the twist was unique. I never saw a trailer for this. Going back and watching the trailer, you can totally tell the twist is going to be. But I think there are a lot of fun elements to it, and I absolutely love the casting. I think Emilia Clarke is such a stunning girl, and I like her chemistry and in general her charisma inside this movie. Coming in at number 91 is going to be The Upside. Now, I thought this was a very heartwarming movie and a very surprising one of that. Kevin Hart and Bryan Cranston are great together, and I think with their chemistry with one another, it works. The ending was a little bit falling flat, and if you're going to watch any version of this, you should probably just watch the foreign version. But truly, The Upside, while it's a remake, I think it's a remake that can put a smile on your face. Coming number 90 is Triple Frontier. I absolutely really enjoyed this one. Was really happy I got to see this in theaters. You got Ben Affleck, Pedro Pascal, Charlie Hunnam, Oscar Isaac. This is just a fucking great cast in here. And while it's different and it gets very slow by the back half because the whole heist elements happen in the beginning, I did like what they did with the back half of this, and I think it worked overall. I just was quite surprised how much stuff they put in, really where it takes off in some surprising avenues. Coming at 89 is The Official Secrets. I actually didn't give this movie the best review, but I actually got to see it a second time and quite enjoyed it a little bit more. And the more I kept thinking about it, Gavin Hood's direction here is actually quite well, and I hope to see him do more stuff like that as well. Keira Knightley as well is one of the most underrated actresses. She's great in this, and she was great in Colette last year. Coming in at my number 88 will come out to be Blinded by the Light. I actually got to interview the director, the writer, and the actor of this, and really they're sweet people. But the thing about Blinded by the Light is such an inspiring story here that really put a big smile on my face. And it's one of the movies that I didn't get to see a second time. I feel like if I did see it a second time, it would have been bumped up a bit for me. But again, if you're a fan of Bruce Springsteen, it's a big honor to go towards his movies. But it's also just a big movie that puts a big smile on your face. Coming in at number 87 is going to be The Kid Who Would Be King. The fact that the guy who made Attack of the Block finally made a new movie is quite stunning, and I'm happy that we got it. Kid Who Would Be King is a really fun little movie. And there's a lot of fun elements to have in it. It's a little, kind of reminds me of something that when I was younger, if I would have seen this movie, I would have been freaking the hell out about it because it would have just been something that I was doing as a kid. Coming in at number 86 is going to be Pain and Glory. Now, I think this is a movie that I wish I could have seen in the theaters because I definitely think I would have liked it. I think viewing a movie for the first time at home is different than viewing it in the theaters. And this is one of those that I think, again, if I would have watched it in a theater, I would have liked a little bit more. But I will say for sure, Antonio Banderas is perfection in this movie. Coming in number 85 is going to be Invader Zim Enter the Florpus. Now, I'm a major fan of Invader Zim, and I thought this was really everything I wanted it to be and more. It's funny, and really just felt like a longer episode of Invader Zim. Didn't really tie up any loose ends, but it was a nice little return for Invader Zim for sure. Coming in number 84 is going to be Paddleton. Now, I thought this was such a joyous little friendship movie with Mark Duplass and Ray Romano. If you haven't checked it out, definitely go see it. It's about a guy who finds out he has cancer and his friend and how they're dealing with it together. Really sweet and subtle movie, that kind of just stuck in the back of my mind throughout the rest of the year. Diving into the live chat now, we see Pikachu Cat has Into the Unknown on repeat. I can understand that. Yes, someone who likes Stuber. Yes, Ryan, I do like Stuber. Ryan likes Triple Frontier. A lot of you guys seem to like Triple Frontier. Eric, the best year made of the year, I would say, is 4V Ferrari. That was a great movie as well. And Hector Gonzalez, Merlin was the best part of Kid Who Would Be King. Hey, I can understand that. Olivia Daly says, oh my gosh, Paddleton was beautiful. It was pretty beautiful. I liked it. Coming in at number 83 was a surprising movie, in fact, and that is Dora and the Lost City of Gold. I never thought this movie would make my list, but it did. And it's actually quite good. Surprisingly enough, there's a lot of fun elements in this movie, and Dora the Explorer as a live action works. The directors and the writers knew what they wanted. They wanted to make a Dora live action movie, and they did it. They didn't take it too overly serious. They fit the same tone as Dora the Explorer, and it works. Is there some cringy moments? Absolutely, but I love this movie. Well, not love, but I loved elements of it, and I had a lot of fun with it. Coming number 82 is going to be Richard Jewell. I thought the little hype over this about AFI was a little bit too much, but I thought this movie was great. And not great, but I think the acting in here is great. Sam Rockwell is great. You bring a smile to your face every time you see him. Same thing with Richard Jewell himself. Paul Walter Hauser is great. And truly, if the best actor was not this stacked this year, I would say that Richard Jewell is a movie that should be up for all those nominations. Now, I do need some water. Coming out number 81. Coming in number 81 is going to be Dolomite Is My Name. Now, Eddie Murphy is great in this, but I think I saw this movie way too much after the hype. And I think it's because I heard so many great things about it. And I will completely agree that Wesley Snipes and Eddie Murphy are fantastic in this movie. I just found it to be a very generic biopic that, while yes, is funny at times, I just wasn't really attached to it at all. Coming number 80 is going to be Motherless Brooklyn. I actually didn't mind this one. I thought there was a lot of good elements to it, and I think Edward Norton is a really good director. Now, I think the concept could be made, well, did he do a good performance? Is this good? Is this good? Yes, but I also think the biggest parallel to this film is it's way too long. There could have been a couple characters cut out, and you don't have to adapt everything from a fucking movie. Not movie, a book. Coming in at number 79 is going to be Abominable. What an adorable little movie this was. And honestly, one of the biggest surprises of this year, too. I wasn't really expecting much to know from this movie, but it's really cute. It's really adorable and puts a big damn smile on your face every single time you watch it. I love what they did with the Yeti. I think there's a lot of fun elements to it to be had in there. And in general, I want to see this movie again. Coming in number 78 is going to be Captain Marvel. I actually didn't mind this one. I think as it went on, it definitely got better and better and better. But does that mean it's a great movie? Absolutely not. It is just fine in that part. I think Brie Larson is good in the role, and I'm excited to see what she does later in her career as Captain Marvel. Coming in at number 77 is going to be Glass. Now, I liked Glass, and I love a lot of the different choices in it. I think it's my second favorite in the whole franchise of This Unbreakable. And I love the concept of what it is. I like how M. Night Shyamalan really decided to do with this movie. I think the cinematography is perfect. It's a hard movie to talk about because I expected so many different things, but my expectations might have gotten the best for me. Coming in at number 76 is going to be Gloria Bell. Now, this is a remake with Julianne Moore. And the funny thing about this movie, the remake, is actually made by the same guy who made the original movie. This is a very subtle, emotional movie that is about age and where it can take you in life. And I thought Julianne Moore was fantastic in here. And I actually wish A24 was pushing this film a little bit harder because it is actually deserving of a lot of those. But coming number 75 is going to be Rocko's Modern Life, The Static Cling. I'm a major fan of Rocko's Modern Life, and when I heard they were making a TV special for it, it was all in. Now, I kind of count this as a movie, so I put it in my list as well. I just like how Rocko is such a giant satire to the 90s, and now this Rocko's Modern Life is the satire to what's going on in our lives today. Coming in on my number 74 is going to be Fyre. The Fyre Festival documentary is, my God, one of the things that is just a big, giant fucking train wreck. And honestly, very much surprising in that we had that big of a train wreck here. Like, never thought in my life we would ever get that, but we got a big train wreck here. And was it great? No. Was it good? No. But that's what I'm talking about with what was happening in the documentary. The documentary is great, and it's very entertaining. It's one of those entertaining documentaries that are definitely one of the ones that you should check out. I do see more people are joining in the chat, so thank you guys again so much for watching this. I'm kind of in the middle of my list right now, so I do want to say thank you so much. And again, if you're new here, hit that like and subscribe button. I want to major apologize for the frame rate and the lag and everything like that. Again, I'm more frustrated than you guys because I want to provide the best content possible for you guys, and I decided to do this live chat, and now it's making me very nervous about some of the stuff that I'm planning on doing next year because I do need that strong connection for it to work. So fingers crossed it all works in that part. Coming number 78 is going to be The Aeronauts. Now, I absolutely got a cool thing to see this outside on a theater screen looking up at the sky, and it was really cool. I absolutely didn't mind this movie. I thought there were a lot of fun elements to it, little cool survival stuff. I just wish the story structure was a little bit better in all those departments. But coming up at number 17 is going to be Little Monsters. Now, I got to see the South by Southwest fun fact as well. I got to meet Lupita Nyong'o on the red carpet. Very, very nice person. But it's a zombie comedy, but I wouldn't say it's a comedy. It's more of a zombie rom-com. There are not that many horror elements. It's very much hilarious in those own rights, and that's something that could catch a lot of people off. But I'm very happy that I got to talk to Lupita Nyong'o and Abe Forrester, who actually is directing the new RoboCop remake, which, if you want to check out a little sense of his style, I think he's perfect after seeing Little Monsters. I'm just happy to see all that part. Coming in at number 71 is Aladdin. Thought this was going to be shit. And for being a movie that I was very, very, very nerve-wracking about because the original Aladdin is one of my favorite animated movies. I was so nervous about it, but in the end of the day, it did work, and I was very much happy with this movie by the end of the day. I think Will Smith does steal the whole entire show. I think Mena Massoud is fantastic, and Scott is just incredible as Princess Jasmine. Coming in number 70 is going to be Jumanji: The Next Level. There's some great laughs in here as well. I just didn't really care for it that much. I think by the end of it, I was kind of just over the movie, and I'm down for another one. I'll go and see these as much as they make them. I just felt the story was kind of boring, and there's some story cliche elements that they put in this movie that I'm just sitting going, come on now, come on. Coming up, my number 69 is gonna be The King. This is Timothy Chalamet is fantastic in here. Same can be said for Joel Egerton. I think this is a very underrated movie on Netflix right now, and one of the ones that you should definitely check out if you haven't yet. If you like these period piece type movies, this is the one for you. Coming in number 68 is going to be Just Mercy. Now, I was absolutely really excited about this by the guy who's doing Shang-Chi and also director of Short Term 12. I like this movie, and I haven't done a review on it yet because it was more for screening purposes why I got to see it. So I won't say too much about it because I might be doing a review still on it. But Jamie Foxx is incredible. Michael B. Jordan is great in here. And Brie Larson brings a lot of sensibilities to her. I think the big part about this movie is the powerful impact that it can hit you on a directing level and the way that the director was able to add that into this movie. And coming in at number 67 is going to be The Two Popes, a movie that, God, this movie could be boring, but it wasn't. It was unique. It was interesting. It was very charismatic and charismatic. And following Pope Francis and Pope Benedict around were some of the best quality times that you could possibly have in any movie in 2019. Sorry, guys. I'm very tired. Coming in at number 66 is going to be Villains. This is such a fun movie that I got to see at South by Southwest. It's on VO on demand right now, but it's one of those ones that has a lot of fun antics to it. Bill Skarsgård and Micah Monroe are the two main characters. It's like an anti-Bonnie and Clyde, but in kind of the worst ways. They go to rob a couple's house, but it turns out as they're robbing the house, they notice that these people might be a little bit more weird than they would expect. They get trapped in the house, and they have to survive. Really like all that stuff. Now, going into the live chat, I see Cinema Force. I had a lot of fun with Jumanji: The Next Level. My favorite is in the franchise. Glad to hear that. The second one's still my favorite. Ryan O'Toole says The Two Popes was solid. Price Hopkins were great, not Oscar worthy for me. Olivia Daly, I was really happy to see Jesse Eisenberg in a few movies this year. He's one of my favorite actors. He's really good. I liked him a lot. Coming up at number 65 is going to be Guava Island. Now, this is more of a music video by the guy who's done a lot of Donald Glover and a lot of Atlanta. But I thought what Donald Glover was able to create in here with Rihanna and in general, this director makes me excited for the future of all their careers because I think Guava Island actually has a lot of smart things to it and has a lot more to say than you would think. Coming up at number 64 is going to be Jumanji, or not. Why am I reading Jumanji? All right, Jumanji in the live chat because Lush Tubers says I'm seeing Jumanji: The Next Level on Thursday. Hey, that's awesome. You enjoy it. But coming up at number 64 is going to be the Lego Movie 2, the second part. A movie that's actually grown on me the more that I thought about it. I think it's very clever in its satire. And honestly, the fact that this bombed the box office makes me really sad. This was a really entertaining movie. A lot of fun antics to it. Was the song a little stupid in this one? Yeah. But I enjoyed it overall for the most part. Coming up at number 63 is going to be Hustlers. Now, I need to see this one again because so many people are flipping praising this movie. And I found it to be fun. I think Jennifer Lopez is deserving an Oscar nomination. I think she is so good in here. I think there are a lot of fun antics to Hustlers in the end of the day, but one of the ones that didn't totally work for me by the end. But coming up at number 62 is Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw. Now, I didn't mind this one. It felt like an SNL skit sometimes with how big and bombastic it was. I think The Rock and Jason Statham worked so well together, and even adding in their Angeline Kirby is just a perfect, spot-on thing. But when it comes down to a lot of the cameos in here, they felt very much misplaced, especially one in particular. There's two that I didn't mind. There's one in particular that I'm like, why is this in here? Which brings me to my number 61, which is The Cold Pursuit, which has Liam Neeson, an action movie I wasn't really looking forward to. I thought, oh God, this is going to be the same fucking shit I've seen all over the time. Big surprise here. It's very much a clever satire on the whole entire thing. There's a lot of light here. It's very much dark in those elements, but at the same time, quite unique. And one of the movies that I absolutely kept fascinating about, and one of the ones that I need to rewatch later on this year. Coming at number 60 is Extraordinary. This movie is not out yet, but I did get to see it at South by Southwest, and it's a very much an Irish Ghostbusters. A lot of fun elements to it. Freaking Will Forte is superb in it, and I was laughing my ass off throughout the whole entire thing. Coming at number 59 is going to be Hotel Mumbai. What a very tough movie to watch, but one that really grabbed me and pulled me out and really just, God, put me in the scenario of all these horrific events that are happening about this terrorist attack. I can't believe that this is real, and the movie does such a good job of placing you in those footsteps. that it continues in that same thing. Terminator Genesis, or not, why am I saying Terminator Dark Fate comes in at number 58. If you can't tell, guys, I'm very much tired. I've been up since 6. Coming in at number 58 is Terminator Dark Fate. I thought this was really fun. And now I'm kind of one of the ones that enjoys most of the Terminator movies. I'll take them for what they are. Nothing's ever going to withstand what 1 and 2 were. But I thought Dark Fate kind of kicked it back in. There were some nice action set pieces in here. I think some of the CGI was a little bit too much. But at the same time, you can have a lot of fun in this movie as well. And seeing Sarah Connor and the Terminator back together was just great. Coming number 57 is going to be Late Night, a very underrated movie that missed my overlook just by this much. But I think Mindy Kaling and Emma Thompson are so great in here. It brings a big warming smile to your face. You laugh, you cry. There's just all these things and being the aspiration of being a woman writer in this movie. And I really like what Mindy Kaling was able to but write into this movie and be able to perform. But coming up at number 56 is going to be Always Be My Maybe, an underrated rom-com for the year. Now, not many people are talking about. It's one of the ones that many people should be discussing, because the thing is, when you're talking about Always Be My Maybe, there's a lot of fun to be had in it. And I think it's just one of those rom-coms that puts a big smile on your face and just continues to put it and keep that big smile on your face. Moving into the next one, we also have, and I lost my page. Coming in at number 55 is going to be Godzilla King of Monsters. Now, while the human characters in here are not the best, it's Godzilla himself that's here for this show, and he wrecks some shit up. The action, the cinematography, the direction, all that sort of stuff works on all levels for me. Coming in at number 54 is going to be Loose, another underrated movie that stars Calvin Harrison Jr., who is having a wonderful year after this in waves. The guy deserves so much more credit. Octavia Spencer is great, but Loose is one of those movies that I'm surprised is not getting more Oscar nomination buzz from it. Coming in at number 53 is going to be A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. I'm a major fan of Tom Hanks. Now, I didn't grow up with Fred Rogers, but I loved the documentary that came out last year, and I don't think this is as great as the documentary, but as a double feature, you can't go wrong with both of those. Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood tells the story of a guy whose life was changed by Fred Rogers, and I like seeing those elements to it. Coming in at number 52 is going to be The Report with Adam Driver. Now, I love Adam Driver. I actually got to interview the director and the actual guy that's based off Daniel J. Jones over on my channel, so go check that out if you guys want to. The Report is one of those movies that really is awe-dropping and awe-inspiring to see what this guy would go through. And where typical political thrillers would kind of go about, The Report takes it in a different angle, and I really like how this true story was told. Coming in at my number 51 is going to be The Missing Link. Now, I think Laika is one of the most underrated studios, and it makes me so sad every time they make a movie that it just doesn't get the buzz that it deserves. But I think The Missing Link really did perform into the point where it does put a big smile on your face, and it's one of the most underrated movies of the year. Coming in at my number 50 is going to be Bombshell. I enjoyed Bombshell. I think there's a lot of fun to be had in here. When it comes to Bombshell, though, one of my biggest issues, well, not even issues, but I think the thing that makes this movie work the most is the ladies in here. Margot Robbie, Nicole Kidman, and Charlize Theron are so good that it's hard to not watch this movie and be like just awe-inspiring. And really, Charlize Theron, I mean, God, she transformed into Megyn Kelly. There are some antics within the movie, though, that I thought were just fine. Really, when it comes down to Jay Roach's directing, that's the one thing that it feels like it's a little bit too much like his buddy Adam McKay. I would have personally liked to see a woman director take this one on. Coming in on my number 49 is going to be Happy Death Day to You. I think the first one is so underrated. The second one was also underrated. And now that we're not getting a third one, it's all your guys' fault, because these are such fun franchises, and the way that they played with the time travel in this one was some of the most best things of the year. Coming in at my number 48 is going to be Crawl. Now, Crawl is quite a really big surprise for me when it comes as a horror film. I really like this one. It's intense, it's nasty, and it feels like an old school Sam Raimi film, which is what I appreciated. Now, coming in at my number 47 is Star Wars Rise of Skywalker. I'm more hyped on this movie than I would ever expect, and I think over the coming months, it could even go up more. I even said that in my initial review, that I understand a lot of the hate. I can understand a lot of this. I think there are many, many pacing issues, but I think the major thing that does work for this movie overall is the fact that it does conclude this saga in general, and I think it can put a big smile on your face if you're a giant Star Wars fan as well. Coming up, my number 46 is going to be Fighting with My Family. What a great movie. And I think what Florence Pugh does in here is just quite impressive. I think the Dwayne Johnson cameo does kind of temper the movie a bit, but it's one of the movies that made me appreciate WWE more than I ever thought I would. Coming up at number 45 is going to be The Beach Bum. Now, this is just a fucking crazy movie. Now, I didn't expect to see this because I wasn't I actually skipped out on it at South by Southwest because I've never been a big fan of Harmy Corny's films, but when I finally got to see The Beach Bum, it's the total epic space odyssey in general of stoner movies, and I think Beach Bum works in all those departments for that. Coming up at number 44 is going to be Serenity. Now, Serenity is a fucking masterpiece of fucking terribleness. I will recommend this movie to anyone in the world, and honestly, like I almost contemplate putting this in my top 10 of the year because it's so fucking bad that you have to see it. You just have to. I tell the story every single time I talk about this movie, and it's because when I went and saw this movie, I took my friend to a press screening. I said, dude, for all I know, this could be a very boring movie. I'm very sorry to say. He's like, that's fine. We got the most entertaining movie we've seen all year long. We laughed our asses off. I had to pretty much walk out of the theater at one point because I was laughing so hard. It was just a movie that I love to make fun of, and it's so quotable. It's so bad. It's going to be The Next Room. I'm calling it right now. Coming in at my number 43 is going to be Dragon Ball Z Super Broly. Now, I thought this was such a kick-ass movie. The animation is superb. The way it brings Broly into canon now is great. I think the thing that works for this movie, though, is that even if you're not a Dragon Ball Z fan, you could probably still enjoy this one. Coming in at my number 42 is going to be Detective Pikachu. Now, what a big surprise this one was. When it was announced, I said, fuck that. That's dumb. Detective Pikachu, why not just a Pokemon movie? Detective Pikachu works in all those levels because it's charming, it's funny, and the CGI is brilliant in it. Coming up at number 41 is me, Zombieland Double Tap. Now, I was very skeptical about this one. None of the trailers won me over. They looked fun, but none of them won me over. And Zombieland Double Tap, I think, is just a little bit of a hair underneath the original Zombieland. Yes, it replays some of the same elements from the first one, but I think there's still a lot of fun to be had in here. And the one-take action scene in here that Ruben does in here, chef's kiss. Fucking great. Coming in at number 40 is going to be Honey Boy. Now, I think this was actually one of the best directed films of the year. It just didn't resonate with me as much as I wanted it to, and I think Shia LaBeouf is incredible in this movie. I think he's worthy of an Oscar nomination. I think Noah Jupe is incredible as here as well as the younger kid and playing the younger version of Shia LaBeouf. It's just one of those movies that I'm surprised not more people are talking about it. Coming in at number 39 is a movie that just came out, but I got to see over 2 months ago, and that is Little Women. One movie that absolutely, the more that I start to think about, the more that I start to fall in love with. While I still have issues with the story structure, and I wish she went for a more traditional route, I think Greta Gerwig's direction is exceptional here. I think Saoirse Ronan and Florence Pugh are off the charts fantastic in here, and I just love what they did with Little Women. Coming up at number 38 is going to be Ruben Brandt Collector, a movie none of you guys have heard of. It's a heist animated movie that you guys should definitely check out. It's a foreign movie at that too. But it is, from what I understand, is on Netflix right now. You should go look at it. Coming up at number 37 is Dragged Across Concrete. Now, I'm a major fan when it comes to Scott's films, whether it's Brawl in Cell Block 99 or Bone Tomahawk. When I heard he was making a movie about freaking with Vince Vaughn and Mel Gibson in a cop movie, I'm kind of down for that. And this movie's fucking long. Don't get me wrong about that. But I think it still works in those departments because I wanted it to, and I think it just feels like a big crime thriller epic. And by the ending, I was like, "Damn, this is tough." Coming in at number 36, gonna be John Wick 3: Parabellum. Now, I thought this was a really good movie. First time watching it though, it did feel fucking long, and even still watching it, it's still long. I think there are a couple action sequences that could have been cut out overall, but for an action movie, this is very much exciting. I'm excited for the future of the John Wick franchise, but I'm nervous at the same time. Coming in at my number 35 is going to be Good Boys. Now, Good Boys, I got to see it South by Southwest at the premiere. I laughed my ass off. It was one of my most anticipated movies of the festival because of these kids. And just a sixth grader, Superbad in a sense. Count me in. I love Superbad. It's one of my favorite comedies of all time. And Good Boys, in a sense, turns out to be one of those ones that I'm just enjoying overall. Coming in at my number 34 is going to be The Peanut Butter Falcon. Now, I'm a major fan of Shia LaBeouf. I love Zach Godskin as well in the way that they got to be able to put him in here. This is just such a Mark Twain story, and one of the ones that if you didn't see The Peanut Butter Falcon yet, you are missing out. It's a movie that can bring big smile to your face while at the same time showcasing great performances and a great cinematography. Now let's jump back into the live chat before I get to the top 33, and I'm going to run through them, guys. So it looks like we got Damien Scott. I love Godzilla King of Monsters. Yes, really good movie. Olivia Daly. Yes, the Adam Driver train has started. Ryan will also love Missing Link. David Bombshell not playing near me. It should soon. Damien Scott Crawl. What a surprise! It was a surprise. Ryan I haven't even seen him for Rise of Skywalker. It improved the second time. Cinema Force. Rise of Skywalker is my favorite film of the year. Really great conclusion. I'm glad to hear you said that. David, Serenity Pass. Man, I can't disagree more. You got to see it. Most of the movies I saw this year are in the top 33. Well, nice to hear that, Lush. Which brings me to my number 33, which is How to Train Your Dragon: The Hidden World. Now, many people are hyping this movie up. I like it. I think it's cute. I think it's fun. And I think it did bring me a lot of emotion to it. But I felt like it was I think the best How to Train Your Dragon is still the first one. I think it's always going to be that way. It's going to be very hard to ever do. I know they said this was the end of the trilogy. I think it ends the trilogy in a nice way. And I love the ending for the movie. There's something about it that kept me from not wanting to rewatch this year. But coming in at number 32 is Alita Battle Angel. What a surprise this one was as well, because for me, when I saw Alita, I wasn't expecting, or when I saw the trailer, I'm like, this looks cool, but this is Robert Rodriguez and James Cameron. Is this going to be working? And Alita Battle Angel works in all departments, except the relationship. That's the one part that I would have thrown the fuck away in this movie. It was terrible. The action was incredible. Robert Rodriguez and James Cameron formulated this big, vast world that I loved. It's just not the relationship is not great. 31 is going to be Dr. Sleep. Now, I'm excited for this director's cut. I love Mike Flanagan. Whatever the guy touches, I think is a horror classic waiting to happen. I've never disliked a movie of his. I've liked all the movies of his. I just think Dr. Sleep falls into the category that it tried to take so much from the book that not all of it was needed, but maybe this director's cut could improve some of those elements that I thought weren't needed. Coming in at my number 30 is going to be Ready or Not. Now, Ready or Not is one of the movies that I was very much looking forward to. It's a hide-and-go-seek horror film. I love hide-and-go-seek. I fucking love it. And Samara Weaving was a major fan. I'm just a major fan of her now, and I can't wait to see what she does in Bill and Ted. It has one of the best conclusions to a horror film of this last decade, and in general, one of my favorite endings from 2019. Coming to number 29 is a movie that you must keep an eye out for next year, because I definitely am looking forward to seeing it again, and that is Yes, God, Yes. Got to see this at South by Southwest. Karen Maine, the director, really puts a lot of passion into the story, and that's one of my favorite things about it. I'm very much excited to see the future of this and what they do with Little Women, or not Little Women, but Yes, God, Yes, and I hope it does get a really big distribution, or at least support, because I think it deserves it. Coming in at number 28 is going to be Queen and Slim, a movie that is kind of the Bonnie and Clyde for this generation. I think the race issues in here that it brings up doesn't bonk you over the head, but at the same time is so subtle in its message that you follow along with the chemistry of this cast while believing it at the same time. I'm very much excited for it, Queen and Slim, and I'm excited to watch it again. Coming up at number 27, this was pretty high up earlier on. I need to see this again, but it's El Camino, Breaking Bad movie. I think this is a perfect epilogue to Breaking Bad. I think Breaking Bad is one of the best television shows of all time, and I think if you bitched about El Camino, there is something wrong with you, because El Camino is a fantastic movie that really adds a little bit more to Aaron Paul's story and also keeps it open just a bit more for the Breaking Bad story while at the same time concluding everything that I wanted. Coming up in 26, Ford v Ferrari. I'm excited to watch this one again. I wish it would have dived into the characters just a little bit more, but I think as a racing film, the way that it gets you in and locks you in, and the way that James Mangold directed those scenes were just fucking great, and I think Christian Bale is great in here. Coming up at number 25 is going to be The Nightingale. Now, this was directed by Jennifer Kent. It was one of my most anticipated movies of the year because I love The Babadook, and The Nightingale did not disappoint me at all. I loved what she did with the movie. I thought the way that she brought up some of her horror sensibilities from Babadook made it into this movie perfectly. When it comes down, though, it is a long movie, and it's not one, and it's kind of disturbing and unsettling, and sometimes I don't want to rewatch those. Coming up at number 24 is going to be It Chapter 2. Now, I think as a conclusion to this whole franchise is great. I think the fact that we get both of them both back to back together, I can't wait to see that whole take that he's editing together, because I think it is a wonderful movie. And honestly, while it lacked, and I think there were too many flashbacks, it's a movie that I put a big smile on my face and felt like a very satisfying conclusion to a franchise. Coming up at number 23 is going to be The Lighthouse. One of the best cinematographies, one of the most crazy and wacky movies. Robert Pattinson and Willem Dafoe give excellent performances in here. But when it comes down to this movie, did you spill your beans? It's not for everyone, but I really like The Lighthouse, and I can't wait to watch it for a second time. Coming up number 22 is Joker. Now, I'm in the camp that I say I love Joaquin Phoenix's performance, but I didn't love the movie. It felt a lot like Taxi Driver, and it felt a lot like King of Comedy, films that I've seen before, rewatched before. Joker is a good movie, but I think the movie is enhanced because of Joaquin Phoenix's performance. I'm done. Coming up number 21 is Ad Astra, one of the movies that really, really took me by breath, and I think a lot of people find this to be boring, but I think you're crazy if you do, because I think I don't know what you're expecting. This was not an action film. This is one that was very much subtle in its own take and actually borrows themes that I felt like were also weaved in throughout The Lighthouse, and even say Joker, and even adding into what sci-fi was and the parallels that it can take with, say, a father and a son relationship is some of my favorite stuff that they were able to do and put throughout a movie. Plus, some of the best cinematography I've seen all year. Coming in at my number 20 is going to be Under the Silver Lake. Now, this is a very underrated A24 movie. I saw it very much earlier on in the year, and it's one of the ones that you should definitely check out. A24 did this film dirty. It stars Andrew Garfield. You guys probably heard about it. They just brushed it under the rug and forgot about it. Coming in at my number 19 is going to be Avengers Endgame. Now, I think Avengers Endgame is a very satisfying conclusion to the Marvel Infinity Saga, and at the same time, I think it's very action-packed. I think the first act is incredible. I think the second act, or not the second act, the third act is perfection and some of the best stuff I've ever seen in comic book film. But when it comes down to the middle act, I think that's the most boring part about the movie, and it very much drags all the way through. Coming in at number 18, though, is Shazam, a movie I actually just rewatched and fucking loved again. Shazam is one of my favorite comic book characters of all time. Got a statue of him right here. I'm sure the freaking stream is already all laggy again, but I do have a little statue of him right here. Love, love, love Shazam, and the way that Zachary Levi plays the character is great. I can't wait to see the second one. Coming in at number 17 is Spider-Man Far From Home. This is my favorite comic book film of the year. Biggest reason being because it's Spider-Man. He's my favorite superhero of all time. Mysterio is my favorite villain of all time. Jake Gyllenhaal is one of my favorite actors of all time, and Tom Holland's my favorite version of Spider-Man. So, I mean, is there any other reason? The way that they were doing for Mysterio were quite impressive, and I love the visual effects in this film. Coming up at number 16 is going to be Rocket Man. If this film was released just a couple weeks ago, this film would be a front runner for Best Picture, Best Actor, everything like that. I'm so worried about Taron Egerton, but it's just one of those movies that's kind of nervousing me because he deserves all the love and support he can get. And I do see Ryan is asking what number is Endgame. Endgame is number 19 for me. Coming up at number 15, though, is going to be Booksmart. I loved Booksmart. I put a big fucking smile on my face. I laughed my ass off. I love rewatching this movie. But I don't have any cons with this. Honestly, all these movies could have made it in my top 10 at this point. But I just love Booksmart. And it's just one of my favorite comedies of the year. Coming up at number 14 is going to be Us. I love Us. And, you know, a lot of people say it's overrated. There's something about this movie that seeing it at the premiere maybe was a big part of me. Is as hyped as I was about it, I think the one thing about this movie is it is very predictable. But when I saw it at the premiere, it hit me. And then I got to see it again and it hit me harder. And it just, I saw this movie at least 3 or 4 times in theaters. And then I've even watched it 2 times at home. And it's one of those movies that I just love rewatching here and there. And just, it gets better for each time I watch it. Coming up at number 13 is going to be Marriage Story. Now, I really much contemplated this being my top 10, but it didn't work into its part because I fucking hate the lawyers in this movie. It's so hard for me to want to rewatch this movie because I fucking hate the lawyers. Laura Dern's great. Ray Liotta is great, but I hate their performances in there. Well, I hate them in this movie. I like their performances. But Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, personally, my 2 picks for Best Actor and Best Supporting, or Best Actor and Best Actress this year. With Joaquin Phoenix, like right there with Adam Driver, like going back and forth each day. Could wake up tomorrow and say Phoenix. I could wake up tomorrow and say Adam Driver. Both of them are incredible for it, and I'm really much curious to see what's happening. And I do see Ryan O'Toole just said Lupita deserves an Oscar nom. Totally agree with you. Ryan Prickett also says it was so weird and creepy, and Us. Totally agree with you. But adding into number 12 is going to be 1917. Now, I need to see this movie again, but the one thing that's nervousing me is I never want to watch this movie at home because the theater experience was so fucking perfect in this movie. It's one of the best one of the best war films ever made. It's one of the best films of this decade. A lot of it going because Sam Mendes decided to direct this into a one-shot. Now, it could be just, some people could say it's a gimmick. I don't think it did. I think it needed to be used for the story, and I think it worked in every single department, and George McKay gives an incredible performance in it. Coming in at my number 11 is Knives Out. Really, really like Knives Out. In fact, love a lot of aspects of it. I think this movie, for some reason, it's very entertaining. I've seen this movie twice, watched it once in theaters, watched it once at home on the screener. And I think all the cast and crew is great in here. I think for me, the one thing that I'm really much looking forward to is being able to rewatch it again and kind of pick up on more of the subtle stuff that Rian Johnson plays in here. I love how Rian Johnson is as a director and the writer in the way that he is kind of just in its own fathom into that part. And Lush Tuber is asking, have I already said Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? I have not. And Rhino 2, I'm still waiting for 1917. Sorry, man. Yeah, you're going to have to wait a little bit more. I think this is going to have a ton of rewatch value. I totally agree on that part. And Devin Pilgrim has a great little top 10 list in the live chat right now. Coming in my number 10, though, is Long Shot. It's a romantic comedy. I did not expect to like that much, but I like to put at least one comedy on my list every year, and I put Long Shot because it's one of the most rewatched films I've seen all year long. Seen this film about 6 times now. I love putting it on right before I go to bed. Seth Rogen is hilarious. Charlize Theron is great in this movie, but I think the big thing about this movie is the way that it builds upon the relationship in such a realistic manner of something that I wasn't expecting to be in that part, because sometimes when you see movies like this, it can take it away and not work in its best route, but it worked in every single moment in its way, and I just have a big smile on my face every time I watch this movie. And I love how Jonathan Levine was able to direct this movie. Ryan O'Toole, did you know Zach Knives Out was filmed 5 minutes away from me? Dude, why weren't you there? Coming in at number 9 is gonna be Jojo Rabbit. What an awe-inspiring movie! It's like Taika Waititi directed this movie and took in his inner Chaplin and came out to be his best. I love what Taika did with this movie. I love him as Hitler, and I think he does such a great satire in here. It's emotional, it's funny, and there's one little moment in here with Scarlett Johansson's character that broke my heart. I think she's fantastic in here. If it wasn't for the stuff in Marriage Story, she'd be definitely the front runner, I think, for Best Supporting Actress. I think Roma Griffin Davis is a charm in here, and Thomas McKenzie is great. And I actually got to meet her, and she's a sweetheart. Coming in at number 8 is gonna be The Irishman. It's Martin Scorsese. I gotta have a fucking The Irishman in this list, and it works. I love The Irishman. I love everything about it. It is long. It is a long movie, but I think the journey to that point works for its manner because of you are spanning decades with Frank's character and understanding all the guilt and everything within inside of his mouth. And I think the way that you feel the guilt as it's piling on and on, by the end, you feel like you are lifted from it and also feel like you were there with it. Pacino and Pesci, though, are perfection. Honestly, Pesci deserves the Oscar nom. Coming in at number 7 is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Someone was just asking for this one. I love Tarantino movie, and when you got a Tarantino movie coming out, I gotta add it in here. Brad Pitt, phenomenal. Leonardo DiCaprio, incredible. Margot Robbie is truly the charm of this movie, and the way that Tarantino was able to frame everything in this. It's one of the most rewatchable movies I can rewatch all this year, and I just love hanging out with these two dudes, going on movie sets, seeing what they're doing. In general, one of the best movie moments of the year is when they're commentating and discussing film over TV. Just great. Coming in at my number 6 is going to be Uncut Gems. Now, I only have one issue with this movie, and it's the last fucking 3 minutes of this movie. I don't think it's bad. I just think it took me off by guard, and it feels like for a first-time script, that's something that you put in it, but Adam Sandler deserves an Oscar nomination, and it's one of the movies that I love recommending to people. It is not for everyone, but it is stressful. It's a stress-inducing movie with high anxiety, but one of the movies that has kept me going back and wanting to rewatch it more and more, and in general, kept it in the back of my brain this whole time. Coming in at my number 5, though, is going to be Midsommar, the director's cut. I want to preface that, the director's cut. The original Midsommar, I really enjoyed, and really was truly a fascinating folktale of fascinating psychological folktale. This one is the same way, but the thing with the director's cut for me actually enhanced this movie because there are a couple choices by the end of Midsommar that I didn't totally agree with, and I think in the director's version, I agree with him now. Because of these character choices, they give a little bit more scenes to flesh out certain things, and I think this version actually gave it. I think if you've ever been in a toxic relationship, this movie speaks a little bit more to you than you would ever expect, and I think if you haven't been in one, this movie might not be for you. I honestly love Midsommar, and it's one of the movies that has stayed and ingrained in the back of my brain this whole entire year. Coming in at my number 4 is going to be Parasite. Honestly, one of the best made films of all time. Bong Joon-ho kicks fucking ass. And honestly, me and my coworkers were having a discussion about this today, is how Bong Joon-ho is pretty much he makes live action Studio Ghibli movies that are rated R. And I look at this, you look at Okja, now you look at Parasite, you kind of feel that in its vein. But I think Parasite is one of the best movies of this year, absolutely hands down. It's one of the most surprising movies as well. And it's a movie that balances so many different tonal shifts, but as it's ripping from side to side, it just feels like it's all perfect. It's one of the most entertaining movies of the year. And I don't care if you tell me I can't read subtitles, I don't like reading subtitles, you should watch Parasite or else you're missing out. Coming in at my number 3 is going to be The Farewell. Wow. Awkwafina is a fascinating star in here for an Oscar nomination. Zizi Xiao, the grandmother in here, is another great one. It's one of these movies that has stuck with me so profusely throughout this whole entire year that when I went back for my second rewatch of this before I was making this list, I sat down and just cried again. It's a movie that you cry, you laugh, and you just feel all these emotions bundling up all inside of you. It's one of the best films of this year. And it's one that if you didn't get to see, it's A24's best film, and honestly top 3 for them. But coming in at number 2 is another A24 film. That is Waves. I think Waves is a technical masterpiece. I think cinematography, I think editing are all perfect. And then you add on even Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor's score. It's perfect. The thing about Waves, though, for me, and this is where it's going to hit you harder, hit you not. It's the story structure. It's so different, and many people are either going to love it or hate it. I can get if you don't like this movie, and I can also get if you love this movie like I do. Because the thing about this movie is it builds up to a certain thing. And most movies would build up to it and then end on it and only spend 20 minutes on the aftermath. movie builds up, and by the back half of this movie, the last hour of this movie, it dives into what is going on in this movie and how people are reacting and dealing with all this stuff. And there's a lot of an emotional pain and weight that could be happening with inside there, and it's honestly quite shocking. But coming in at my number one, you fucking know what it is. You see the shelf above me. It's Toy Story 4. This is my most rewatched movie of the year. It's a movie that I've seen so many times. It was my most stressed movie I was stressed to see, so nervous to see because I wanted to be just as good as the other ones, and I think it worked. I think if you don't like this movie, you're biased, and I think you went into this movie saying, I just don't want them to be another Toy Story movie. And I think that's honestly what it is. It's hard for me to imagine someone not liking this movie. It's hilarious, it's heartfelt, it's heartwarming, and when it comes down to Toy Story 4, it feels like a great epilogue to Toy Story 3 while at the same time expanding Woody's character and ending his story in such a great way. And maybe I'm a biased Toy Story fan saying that, but when I rewatch a movie, I can say yes or no to what I feel, and there were no rose color tinted lenses. I saw this movie 3 times before I even did my review. And it's one of those movies that made it work. And it's, again, one of those movies that I've rewatched constantly throughout this year, wanted to show people. And I'm just baffled. If you tell me you don't like this movie, I just have to imagine that you went and say, there shouldn't be a Toy Story 4. And if you did do that, fine. But whatever. Guys, that is going to be my whole 2019 new movies ranked. All 153 new movies. Again, I'm so sorry for the frame rate. I'm so sorry for all that stuff. If you're catching this on the replay, I apologize on that. I still wanted to do this live. I didn't want to cut it out in the middle of it and restart. I want to do this for you guys, and I do want to announce some new video content that will be coming out. I will be doing another live stream or either an updated channel update in the beginning of January, talking about some new stuff, kind of reiterating over this so everyone can know, but I want to give you guys who joined in on this the first glimpse of what's going on. I already kind of mentioned it once, but I will be reinstalling the Popecast. It's a podcast where I started just discussing movie news every single week. And I only did 2 episodes earlier on in my channel, and they got decent views, but I want to bring that back and do an hour segment each time, talking movies and all this sorts of stuff at the end of the week. This will also be on Spotify and iTunes on the Good Boys podcast feed. And the Good Boys podcast is coming back. The Good Boys 2.0 is coming back. Me and Tyler have just been having to try and figure out certain things with it, but it is coming back earlier next year as well. So that's 2 things. You're going to get 2 of those things, Good Boys podcast and Zach Poe podcast. My goal is this last year's goal in general, 2019, my goal was to build upon what I wanted to build upon in earlier segments. And I built upon it in the best way possible, because what I did was I built it and I wanted to do at least 7 videos a week. And most of the time I did that. This year, I'm going for at least towards the middle of the year, starting on at least 10 or 12 videos a week. So that starts with more news videos. I love talking news. So certain videos, I'm going to make a certain segment just straight for news content. I'm going to post it and give you guys my thoughts. More live streams, kind of breaking news stuff with that. The other thing I want to get back to is all my Patreon supporters, because without them, I really want to be able to do this. So thank you to all of you guys, or if you're a Patreon supporter. If you're planning on making your own YouTube channel, you always have questions of how do I start? Where do I start? My Patreon is kind of the best way to do that, because I'm 24/7 access to you guys. I will give you as much feedback as I can give back to you guys. Ask me any questions. I'll help you. But when it comes down to YouTube in general, there's 3 new videos I'm planning on doing. And one is called Pope Picks, officially bringing that back, doing it in a different segment, and actually really pushing through with it. Talking about, like, probably posting it on Friday morning or Thursday night, talking about what movies are coming out this week, what movies should you see, kind of in that segment. Another one that I'm planning on doing, this one is a big maybe, but I want to go to certain theaters and on opening night of certain movies that are like, say, Black Widow or Birds of Prey, and getting people's actual reactions, audiences, and getting their feedback as well. And the last one that I really want to do is I want to bring, well, I kind of already mentioned it, the podcast. I want to do more segments like this, more laid back stuff where I can discuss it. And that kind of goes into more live streams and all that sort of stuff. So again, I want to announce to you guys first for joining in. Thank you guys again so much for watching this. You guys just all the best. Again, I apologize for this stream. I can't believe it's that laggy. I'm so pissed. But thank you guys again so much for watching this. It really does mean a lot. Look out for my best of the decade video coming out tomorrow. And I also have my most anticipated video coming out the day after that. And then the first week of January, it's going to be a little bit weird. Going to have to find videos to do content on, but I will figure that out for you guys. So thank you guys again for all the support. And of course, until next time, make sure to stay classy and may the force be with us all.